Hello, I'm Dr. Gloria Horsley.
And I'm her daughter, Dr. Heidi Horsley.
Heidi and I want to welcome you to Open to Hope Conversations, the podcast.
We believe that the greatest gift you can give yourself after a loss is hope, using this moment to connect with others who have not only survived but thrived.
So let's get started. Welcome to the Open to Hope Show. I'm your host, Dr. Gloria Horsley, with my daughter and co-host,
Dr. Heidi Horsley.
Heidi, we are going to be talking about such an important topic today. We're going to talk about grief support for men. You want to introduce our guest?
Sure, Mom. Our guest today is Paul Madsen. He lost his adult daughter and wife just 9 months apart. He is the author of the book Men Grieve Too, Tools to Help Men Rebuild After the Death of a Loved One, and he conducts men's retreats. Welcome to the show, Paul.
Hey, an honor to be here. Thank you. Thank you both for the opportunity, Heidi and Gloria.
Oh, it's wonderful to have you on. And wow, losing your daughter and wife only 9 months apart.
Yeah, it's not supposed to work that way, is it?
No, for sure not.
Well, and especially since they were so close together. You know, my brother died, my mom's son died many years ago, and my father died, 2 years ago. There was a lot of years in between those deaths. For you're grieving, and all of a sudden you're grieving, another death happens while you're grieving the last one.
I borrowed a quote from a local author here. Colleen is her name, and she says, you always have your grief with you. You just get used to it, and it's really profound. And I wasn't even used to the death of my daughter Laura yet. I was only 9 months out. Both of their deaths were kind of the slow and awful, chronic, ramp down, wind down kinds of things. And so we had time to reflect and say goodbye and all that stuff. But still, again, 9 months apart, it was not. So the first, after Laura died, my daughter, I did not really, I don't know why. It didn't occur to me to go to a grief support group or anything like that. But after my wife died, I went out and jumped into the whole grief support group thing.
Yeah, well, good for you. I'm glad to hear you did it because so many men don't do that.
Yeah, well, I wasn't sure if I was just not aware of it or I didn't think it was for me. I think I was pretty much just not aware of it because I hadn't been through death of a close person yet, other than my mother when I was a kid, but they didn't have anything like that for that. But
wow, how old were you when your mother died?
My mom died of breast cancer when I was 14 years old.
Oh, wow. You've really been through it.
The funny thing, and you talk about men and how we react and don't react. I was 14, early teenager, and I don't know if you all remember middle school, junior high, or early high school, whatever. What's the most important thing to a high school kid? You got to figure out what everybody's thinking of you and how to act. Well, that was the weird part. I remember sitting in PE class saying, like, how am I supposed to act? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to say? How do I, can I be myself? Can I be happy? Should I be sad? What should I do? So maybe this book got early roots.
Well, I know you've been running a men's group, and what is your thought about men and grief?
I'm going to take you back just a little bit. I was at these grief groups I attended. I ended up accidentally helping a woman who was there. She had lost her husband much more recently than I had lost my wife, Lisa, and she was all shook up, and I just ended up standing in the right place at the right time, and she was talking to me and crying and really, really shook up, and I uncharacteristically didn't say anything. I just listened, and when she was done and she composed herself, she gave me a big hug and thanked me so much, again, for not doing anything, in my opinion, but happened to be in the right place at the right time for her. Well, that felt really good. That kind of inspired me. I said, I didn't do anything, but I think I helped that lady. And I call her Marge in the book, and that's not her real name. But anyway, the point is that I wanted to, I've written some other books, and I said, I'm gonna maybe write a book about grief and helping people and that kind of thing. And researched and quickly realized, as we all know, that there are thousands of books about grief out there. And so my bubble burst on that. And but I had the thought in my head, next week when I went back to grief group, I'm looking around, and at the one grief group, there were 40 women, 5 to 8 men, depends on the day. But yeah, there was just not many men there. People like me, we grew up with the Duke. Remember John Wayne? You know,
Yeah.
don't say very much, Pilgrim, and if you're hurt, you rub a little dirt on it, and you know, move on,
Right.
and all that kind of stuff. I mean, he was in 100 movies for about 30, 40 years, always playing the tough guy, the macho guy. And you know, my dad watched him, my coaches watched him, my teachers watched him.
So those are the messages you get, Paul, right? Suck it
It's
up,
just a
walk it
culture,
off.
yeah.
Suck it up, walk it off. Big boys don't cry. Be a man.
What I do have put in the book, however, is that I have hope, because I think a lot of the guys and gals who came back from the Middle East war, or Middle Eastern wars over there, they're more open to talking about it.
I know in your book you talk about men who grieve are sweepers, weepers, leapers, and keepers. What does that mean?
Well, I mean, I just try to give it some almost lighthearted type of easy to remember ways. You know, there are the five types there I talk about. And you know, the first one, for example, we talked about John Wayne. You know, the sweepers. I mean, we have if we have we're sweeping the hardwood floor or the linoleum floor, and there's that little bit of dust that doesn't go in the dustpan every time. Well, what do you do if you have an open area rug there? You lift up the corner of the rug and sweep it under there, right? So that's what my example is for men who want to sweep this whole thing under the rug. They just, you know, just go back to work the next day, or don't talk about it at all. And, you know, why can't we stop talking about it? It's not going to change anything. Let's move on, get back to work. Everybody back at your station, you know?
Right.
And so that's a classic tale of a sweeper, a man who would sweep things up under the rug. The weepers, that's the person who can't pull himself out of that funk, you know, that. And I had plenty of this. I didn't have so much of the sweeping part, but the weeper, you know, where I tell the story where you know, I'm pretty outgoing, gregarious guy, the first guy to the party, last guy to leave the party, all that kind of thing. But boy, you know, after that whole calm after the storm comes, you know, after the food gets done, delivered, after the cards, after the messages, after the visits, after all the support you get. And that during that calm, the adrenaline letdown, ladies, that was tough. I just wanted to be alone. I just wanted to sit in my chair, not watch TV, not read, not surf my phone. I just wanted to isolate. And
I like, Paul, that you're talking about the adrenaline letdown, because a lot of people don't realize that there's an adrenaline piece to the grief, especially early on.
Well, I call it trauma. I mean, it's, you know,
Yes,
it's a traumatic thing. It just really is like battle, if you will, because your whole sensory system is just really askew. I mean, everything's different. Everything's shut down. On the book, I have a level.
Yes, I love your book cover. I was going to bring that up, so I'm glad that you're showing everybody.
Well,
it is so male friendly. I mean, you know, like you said, it's got the tool and all that. I like it.
Well, in each section, I talk about the sweepers. You know, the sweeping it under the rug. I leave with a small tool reminder, because you know, we're men. We like to fix stuff. We like to make something happen. We like to change it, fix it. We don't listen to you women because we're too busy. We don't listen to you. We're trying to fix whatever you're telling us about, right?
We did a show once where a man, and Mom, I know you remember this, was renovated his house, or did you know, bricked in his front porch or something. And the way that his friends supported him is they came over and helped him renovate.
Wow.
They did something together. Yeah, like you're saying.
And that's
they fixed something.
Yeah, that's the male experience. We're gonna create something, do something, fix something. I've, you know, done a lot of work on my deck since my girls have gone. And in the end of that chapter and into that thought, ladies, is that my image for the sweeper, I give you a little tool image at the end of each chapter. For a sweeper is a sanding block. You know, a sanding block, you sand on, and some of them are rubber, some are plastic, some are wood, whatever. And, you know, when we have those rough edges, and I can remember that I'm a sweeper, maybe I'm sweeping stuff under the rug. If I put a little sanding block or a picture of a sanding block or have a really tiny one in my pocket or something. Just have that as the reminder that I can sand off those rough edges, because when we make a project, it's rough and tumble at first, but take that sanding block and get that everlasting final bit done where you can smooth it out and hopefully move forward.
I love that. Well, what about the leapers and keepers?
Leapers are the fun ones to talk about because they're the most dramatic.
Okay.
I remember where I was sitting at the time. A woman at their Thanksgiving party, they'd invite us to stop by. Me and my sons dropped by, and my book came up that I was working on at the time, and she mentioned, "Oh, my dad, yeah, he lost his. My mother died, and he was remarried in 3 months. Because he is one horny dude." I didn't know this woman from anybody. She just kind of wore everything out there on her sleeve. So anyway, that's a classic example of a keeper, or a leaper. That, we've all heard look before you leap, right? And so
Yeah.
that's my advice. I have not done anything too dramatic since my loss of my daughter and my wife. So hopefully I'm not too much of a leaper, but we all heard the stories. There's a guy I know who did get married in 9 months after his wife died. And it was actually a kind of a good story, a beautiful story. His in-laws, his wife's parents were both still alive. And they said, I'll call him Bob. I said, "Bob, we know our daughter loved you and loved her life with you, and you have great capacity to love. And, we just 100% endorse you." Some parents might say, "Oh, he just moved on too fast." But no, they told Bob that he had their permission, didn't need his permission, but had their blessing, I guess is a better word, for that. So you might call him a leaper, but that was a beautiful story, actually. So,
Yeah.
the other leapers may be the ones who sell the house or chase down a girlfriend half their age, or, all these kind of
Right.
types of stories out there. It just, and the leaper, what I asked them, and actually, that's actually the basis for the level.
I like the level for the
Level
leap.
life, don't be leaping around too much. And so there are, if you go to a major hardware store, you can find these little levels that are about that long and have a little green bubble. I mean, I don't know what good they do, but they're great for putting in your pocket and making sure that you don't leap too far, too fast.
I love that. Now give
Me
us
too.
the keepers.
The keepers, that's the ultimate goal. And that's kind of a level thing too, but the keeper is the one who keeps the memory of their loved one always with them, but they also keep a balanced life. They also keep knowing that I went to a counselor afterwards, I'll admit it. My counselor had 3 great words for me, ladies. He said, "Paul, you're still here."
I love
like that.
it. Right. You're still here.
I like that.
Two
Paul,
words
I'm
in a
always, when I
contraction.
work with parents, I always tell them, because I am someone that lost her brother, be careful about saying life isn't worth living anymore.
Oh yeah.
Because when you do that, we as the surviving children feel like we're not enough.
So you lost your girls, but you got some boys
Mhm.
that you're
I do.
hanging with, right?
I do. I call us the bad men. I got a 30-year-old son and a 22-year-old son, and one's at college, one has his own place, but we get together as often as we can. Fortunately, no one's too far away, so that's all good.
I was going to ask Paul about the boys' mom too, because I was wondering, is there anything that you've done that has helped them in their grief?
Well, what I've learned through all this is grief is very individual, and I'll contend that my boys are completely different in their way they're handling it. Yeah. One is more of a proverbial sweeper. I mean, he admits they're gone, of course, and this is their sister they grew up with, and he admits they're gone, but he doesn't want to mess around talking about it much or anything like that.
Yeah.
And the other ones moving through the other phases or whatever. And I shouldn't say phases. We don't move through phases. Absolutely not.
Oh, what you are doing, which you already know, and I think is key, is spending time with them, doing things with them.
Absolutely.
And I think that is important.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah.
inviting them into your
Yes.
world, which is a wonderful
Well, and
thing.
that's true. I'd make it very intentional for us to spend time together.
Where can people get your book? And do you have a website? What do you
Sure.
want to give a shout out about?
You bet. The book, of course, is on Amazon.com, Men Grieve 2. My company is growmedia.com, GROWMEDIA. And on there, I talk about my TV show and a little bit about the book. That's a way to get a hold of me. And there's links there too. I am in the process of building some day-long seminars for men who are in grief as well. And that's a good place to keep well posted there. Also, Facebook has a growmedia.com.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Paul David, and for honoring your family so well and all you're doing for men. Really impressive.
Well, I appreciate your accolades. I want to thank you too. I think you're both living out your mission there that hit you close at hand. Your brother, your son, your husband, your dad. We've all gone through losses, and I just really respect that you are doing this for so many years, and the message you're getting out there and the people you're helping. So thank you for this stage.
Thank you, Paul, and thank you for building awareness for men in grief and showing us that despite multiple losses, you can find hope again.
Perfect. Goes right with your title of your organization.
And we want to thank you all for joining us on the show today. And Heidi and I always want to say that if you've lost hope, please lean on ours until you find your own, and God bless.
I'm Dr. Heidi Horsley. You have been listening to Open to Hope, the podcast. You can follow Open to Hope on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. To learn more, visit us at opentohope.com and go to Apple Podcasts to subscribe.
I'm Dr. Gloria Horsley. Join us again next week for another Open to Hope conversation, where we invite you to lean on our hope until you find your own.